Okay, if you're a parent, maybe an educator listening right now, navigating the digital world, especially for younger people, it can feel, well, less like guiding and more like trying to map a swamp that just keeps changing, right?
Absolutely. The tech shifts constantly, the
Hmm.
risks feel complicated, and there's just so much information thrown at you. It's easy to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, and that feeling, that anxiety, it's real because the stakes are high.
They really are.
Hmm.
But, often that overwhelm comes because we don't have clear, simple definitions. And maybe more importantly, we don't feel like we have genuinely actionable steps. We just get lost in the jargon.
That's exactly where we want to start with this deep dive. We've gone through a set of sources, the Student Digital Privacy Guide, and our mission today is pretty straightforward. Cut through that noise.
Right. Define the key terms so you actually feel comfortable with the language.
Exactly. And then hand you the essential practical strategies, things you can use, both at home and in the classroom. The goal is for you to walk away feeling like you finally have a bit of a map.
Okay, so let's start at the very core then. Digital privacy. What is it? Fundamentally, it's just protecting your personal information online.
Sounds simple enough.
It does, but
Hmm.
what is personal information when we're talking about a student? It's not just the obvious stuff like, their full name, their school, where they live, photos, browsing history.
Okay, yeah, the usual suspects.
Right. But here's where it gets, well, maybe a bit surprising for some folks. Personal information now includes those really casual interactions. We're talking about the likes they might give on a game.
Just clicking a like.
Yep. Or even a simple reaction to a social media post. Those tiny interactions, they're counted. They're stored as personal data,
Whoa.
which means we immediately have to talk about the digital footprint.
Yeah.
This is basically the trail of data that a student inevitably leaves online.
Inevitable, huh?
Yeah, pretty much unavoidable if you're online.
Hmm.
Every search they do, every comment, every post, and yet those likes we just mentioned, it all adds up. It's often permanent.
So you can't erase it, but you have to manage it.
Exactly. You absolutely have to manage it.
So why should why should you, the listener, care so intensely about protecting this footprint? The sources really highlight three main reasons. Immediate concerns.
Yeah, the first one is the most visceral. Safety is the immediate worry, right? Unprotected information creates openings. It can be exploited by cyberbullies.
Which is sadly common.
It is. Or, in rarer but truly tragic cases, by predators who can piece together location details, identity, things like that from scattered bits of information.
Okay, safety first. What's number two?
Second is the long game. It's about their future, that data tray.
Hmm.
It doesn't just sit there passively.
It gets looked at later.
Absolutely. The stuff students post today, the information they share, it can and often will be seen years down the line. Think college admissions offices, scholarship committees,
Even employers.
definitely potential employers doing background checks. It becomes this sort of unchangeable part of their story online.
And an editable part of their narrative. That's a sobering thought.
It really is. And the third critical reason is awareness, or maybe lack of awareness. Students are basically operating in an environment where they're targets.
Targets for advertising.
Yes, meticulous targets of really complex advertising and data collection systems, often without even realizing it. They're giving away data that fuels this whole online economy they probably don't even know exists.
So it's like they're part of a transaction every time they click, but they don't know they're paying with their data.
Precisely. We need them to understand that participation.
Okay, so if they're participating, we need to understand the language of that transaction, right?
Right.
To talk about this effectively, we need to clarify some of those essential terms companies use.
Definitely. Let's start with the really formal one, the privacy policy. Every service, every app legally has to have one.
The long document nobody reads.
Yeah, often the one nobody reads. But its purpose is to spell out how that service collects your data, how they use it, who they share it with, and how they claim to protect it.
Okay, but let's be honest. Who actually has time to wade through 20 pages of legalese for every single app their kid downloads? Is there a shortcut the sources suggest?
They definitely address that. Look, the point isn't necessarily to read every single word, but you need to know this policy is the only thing legally binding the company.
So it's about accountability.
It is. When you're signing up for a new app, maybe with your child, the sources stresses looking for specific keywords. What data do they share? Who are these third parties? How long do they keep the data?
So like using Control+F to find share or third-party advertising.
Exactly. That's your shortcut. Gives you a quick pulse check on how they're handling the data.
Okay, that makes sense. And that accountability connects right into how they actually make money from all this data, which is Data mining.
Right. Data mining is the engine behind a lot of the free internet. It's the process where companies actively collect and analyze just massive amounts of data. All those clicks, location pings, likes,
Everything we mentioned.
everything. And they do it specifically to find patterns they can then package up and sell to advertisers.
So if my kid suddenly sees an ad for a specific team's jersey right after liking that team on a totally different website.
That's data mining in action. They connected those dots using the patterns they found.
Got it. And speaking of tracking users across different sites, we need to talk about cookies. And not the tasty kind.
Definitely not the tasty kind. These are basically small data files that websites place on your computer, often pretty quietly.
And what do?
Their main job is to track your activity online and essentially remember you. They can make things smoother, sure, like keeping you logged in, saving your shopping cart.
That convenience factor.
Right. But that convenience has a cost. The cost is being tracked as you move around the internet. Cookies let companies build up a really detailed picture of a student's online behavior over time.
Okay, so we've got policies, mining, cookies. Now let's shift to the active threats, the bad actors trying to exploit all this. The sources mention two main types. First one sounds tricky. Phishing.
Phishing is all about deception. Usually it comes as an email or maybe a text message. They're designed to look legitimate, like they're from a bank, a school, a popular game.
Using social engineering, basically.
Exactly. And the goal is to trick people into voluntarily giving up sensitive information. Things like passwords, maybe credit card numbers, school login details. A student might get an email saying, "You want a prize? Just verify your school login here." That's classic phishing.
Okay, very sneaky. And the second threat, it sounds broader, malware.
Malware is just the umbrella term for malicious software. This covers things like viruses, spyware, ransomware, any program basically designed to damage your device or steal your information.
And how does that usually get onto a device?
Often by clicking a bad link, downloading a suspicious attachment, or maybe visiting an iffy website like an unauthorized game download site. That click can install the malware without you even realizing it immediately.
Right. Scary stuff. But the good news is, the sources really highlighted one key protection tool, a big one. This is where it gets practical. Two-factor authentication, or 2FA.
Yes. 2FA is huge. It's basically a secondary step you have to take to verify your identity when you log in. It's probably the single biggest barrier you can easily put up against unauthorized access.
So even if someone steals your password.
Right. Even if a phishing scam works and they get the password, they still need that second factor. That's usually a unique, temporary code sent to your phone or maybe a parent's phone.
And the hacker doesn't have the phone.
Exactly. It stops the threat right there. It adds a critical extra layer of security.
Okay, fantastic. So we've got the landscape, we've got the terms. Now let's move from theory into action. The sources are really clear. Digital privacy isn't a one-off lecture. It has to be an ongoing conversation.
Absolutely. And that conversation really needs to start at home.
Right. So here are 4 key strategies the sources recommend for parents. Tip 1, start the digital talk early.
Yeah, and the advice here is don't get bogged down in tech jargon with young kids. Use simple analogies they can actually relate to.
Like comparing online risks to
Well, what?
real-world stranger danger. Yeah.
Exactly. Make it tangible and help them visualize what public really means online. The sources give a great example for this.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
Ask your child, would you be okay posting your report card on the main school bulletin board where everyone, teachers, other parents, strangers walking by, could see it? Not just today, but like forever.
Most kids would say, no way.
Right. And then you explain, well, having a public online profile is basically the same thing. It makes that abstract idea of a huge permanent audience feel really concrete.
That is powerful. Kids get the bulletin board idea immediately. Okay, so that's tip 1. Tip 2, do a privacy checkup. This sounds more hands-on.
It is. This is about proactively reviewing apps and games with your child. Don't just monitor from afar. Make it a teaching moment.
What does that look like in practice?
Well, when you're looking at a new app together, ask questions out loud like, does this game really need to know our exact location to work?
Good question. Most probably don't.
Exactly. And then, right there with your child, physically go into the settings and turn off unnecessary location services. And critically, make sure any profile defaults are immediately switched to private. Lock out from the start. Location data is super sensitive.
Okay, proactive checks, turning things off. Got it. Tip 3. This one feels like it might be the toughest, especially with older kids. Teach the think before you share rule.
Yeah, this requires constant reinforcement. But the sources offer a really memorable tool here, a way to frame that think before you post moment. It's called the grandma rule.
The grandma rule. Okay, I'm intrigued.
I like this one too. It's basically a triple check filter. Before posting something, the child should ask, would I be okay with my grandma seeing this, my teacher seeing this, and a future boss seeing this?
Wow, okay. Grandma, teacher, and future boss. That covers immediate embarrassment and long-term consequences.
Precisely. If the answer to any of those is no, then they shouldn't post it. It connects that immediate social pressure with the long-term professional impact in a way kids can actually grasp.
It really acknowledges that the internet's memory is long, even if their friends are the only audience they're thinking about right now.
Exactly. Okay, and the final tip for parents. Tip 4 shifts focus a bit. It's about understand school tech. Parents can't just assume the school has it all covered.
They need to be proactive with the school, too.
Yes, they need to ask questions, talk to the teachers, talk to the school's IT people, find out what specific educational apps and websites are being used in the classroom.
And ask how the school is protecting student data with those tools.
Absolutely. How is consent managed? What are the privacy policies for the tools their kids are required to use every day? It's about closing that loop and demanding transparency from the school as well.
That makes perfect sense. It bridges the home and school environment.
Which brings us nicely to the next set of strategies, the ones aimed at educators. The teachers who are, really on the front lines teaching digital citizenship day in and day out.
Okay, 4 strategies for the classroom. Tip 1. Teachers must model good digital behavior. Lead by example, basically.
Exactly. It's about being transparent with their own digital practices. For instance, if a teacher is sharing class photos or updates with parents.
Maybe pictures from a field trip or something.
Right. They shouldn't just throw them up on a public social media page. They need to be explicit about how they're ensuring security.
So explaining why they're using a specific method.
Yes. Saying something like, I'm sharing these photos through our approved secure school portal, which has restricted access, rather than putting them on a public site. That simple explanation reinforces the public equals risk lesson through their own actions.
I like that. It makes privacy visible, something you do, not just a rule you read.
Precisely. Okay, tip 2 is to integrate tech talks. The guide emphasizes you don't necessarily need a separate, dedicated class just for digital privacy.
Which is probably a relief for busy teachers.
Definitely. Instead, weave these discussions into subjects you're already teaching.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Maybe in social studies, you're talking about the economy or global data flows. That's a perfect opportunity to discuss how data is used in society today, which leads right back to concepts like data mining and how companies build user profiles connected to the curriculum.
So making it relevant within existing lessons, not adding a whole new subject. What about setting clear rules for behavior in the classroom?
That's tip 3. Create a classroom digital charter. And the key here is collaboration. Work with the students to establish shared rules for using technology in the classroom.
Get their buy-in.
Exactly. What should be in this charter? Things like not sharing passwords, using only the websites the teacher approves, being respectful online, and crucially, always asking permission before taking photos or videos of other students or the teacher.
That last one feels really important for respecting personal space, even digitally.
It is. It gives students ownership and helps manage those potential in-class conflicts before they start.
Okay. And the final tip for teachers. It acknowledges how fast things change.
Yes. Tip 4. Use trusted resources. Technology evolves so quickly. Teachers shouldn't feel like they have to be the absolute expert on every new app or risk.
It's okay to lean on outside help.
Absolutely. The sources strongly encourage using professionally vetted external resources, the Strax plans, videos, up-to-date articles. They specifically mention organizations like Common Sense Media or Connect Safely as reliable places to find materials for teaching digital citizenship effectively.
That's great. Take some pressure off individual teachers. So wrapping this up, wow, what a difference this kind of focused dive makes. We started off acknowledging how overwhelming digital privacy can feel.
Yeah, like that murky swamp.
Right. But these sources really do lay out a clearer path. The goal isn't to, scare kids off the internet entirely. It's about empowering them.
Giving them the knowledge and the tools, these concrete strategies we talked about, to make smarter, safer choices online.
And it really underscores that this is an ongoing conversation. It needs everyone involved, parents, teachers, and the students themselves.
Absolutely. Every privacy checkup you do, every setting you help change, every little chat about the grandma rule, it all builds that foundation for a safer digital life.
So we've clearly established that even a student's tiniest online action, like a simple like, is considered personal data. It becomes part of their permanent digital footprint.
And it's actively used in data mining. Companies analyze these patterns and sell them to advertisers. There's a direct monetary value placed on that click.
Which leads to a really important final thought for you, the listener, to mull over.
Yeah, consider this. If we truly empower students with the knowledge that their most casual clicks, their likes, are not only being permanently recorded but are being immediately monetized by large companies, how does that knowledge change their perspective?
How does it shift how they see their own rights and maybe their responsibilities as digital citizens?
Does understanding the direct commercial value placed on their seemingly small interactions change how they behave online? And maybe, what are the deeper ethical implications of monetizing every aspect of a young person's digital footprint?
Something to really think about. Until the next deep dive, keep learning and maybe go check those privacy settings.